Hey guys, I have a Ariel-Inspired card for us today. I was excited to do this card. Someone asked me to do this. They were in my Whatnot show and they really wanted an Ariel card and I didn't have one. So I wanted to make sure I had one for them next time. So you can always check out my Whatnot and on Wednesday afternoons to see what I have. Most of the cards that I make in my videos, I wind up putting in my Whatnot show. I will also have pin crafts, which I've shown you before as well, and pin crafts and also more paper crafts. So there's several different crafts that I've got going for tomorrow's show, and I'm super excited about. So please tune in and make sure you comment, like, all the things. You know, I appreciate all those things. So I appreciate you guys, and thanks for just tuning in. So I'm using our Friendship Royalty stamp set. I've done a few different crafts of Friendship Royalty. You know, I've shown you guys this a bunch of times. It's one of my go-to. Someone asked me to make some Little Mermaid cards. So I actually went ahead and made this one. Cute, right? This one's my regal, you know, because it's the larger crown. It's just a little more regal. So I went ahead and I made this one. Just thought it was super cute. And, you know, someone asked for it, so I wanted to make sure I brought it. I mean, I could provide it for them. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. So, I mean, I just love all the gems. Anyway, all right, I'll get started. The first thing we have to do, you guys, is we're going to be using this embossing folder. It's called the Merry Melody 3D embossing folder, and it has all these music notes in there. And it's just what it describes. It's literally a folder, and you put paper in it, and then you put it inside this machine, which is called a stamp cut emboss machine. There are other companies that make similar ones, similar type of machines. I'm trying to turn it sideways so you can see what happens. We'll see if I'm able to like actually do it this way. So what I really wanted to show you though is that there's this line on the one side of the folder. So when I take my purple, so this is the layers that I have are just 3 basic layers of 1/4 inch difference. So this is 3 3/4 by 5 inch of fresh freesia. And what you do is you put it inside the folder and you try to make sure that you can line up I like to use this, especially because this has a directional, what's the word? Print. You want to make sure that your cardstock is straight, and that can be tricky if you're not really careful. So I'm really trying to make sure it lines up on this. Most people wouldn't notice it was slightly crooked, but still, I want to try and make them nice. So I have it in there, and now, I mean, hopefully you can see that it's now straightly lined against this. And then there's these blocks, and the block tells you what layers you need in order to do which project. So if I'm cutting the little, you know, shapes, I'm using this one. If I'm, what is this one for? Oh, this is for like the regular embossing folders. And this one is for the 3D embossing folders. And this one is definitely 3D. There's some folders that are not as thick as this one. This one's really thick. And so I'm trying not to move it. And then you put the gray one on top of this. And then you literally crank a crank on the side to make it go through. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use this piece that I embossed. Let me move this back out of the way. So we're going to take what we embossed and we're going to actually take a blending brush. Now, I know technically it's a blue blending brush. I don't have a clean one that I can use just for purple, but the blue I felt like wouldn't mix up on this particular purple. It's better if you have more blending brushes. I just don't do it enough to where I haven't bought very many. You know, I'm on a budget, you know what I mean? So whenever you're using the blending brush, I don't know if this is a good technique or not. I'm sure there are wiser people than me that know. Okay, is I always start off my project first to just kind of, because sometimes you'll get too much ink on there and it'll make like a a blotch, and I didn't want that. And I just wanted to make sure, yeah, like that. See how it made like a little splotchy thing? And I didn't want that. And so I try to go from out to in on the card. And then just keep going back and forth to make sure I'm getting all the texture and shading on these little notes. I'm going to add a little bit more, especially down here at the bottom, where it kind of softened. And I'm doing it, I'm going to do it in circles. There we go. That seems to get to all the different parts of the notes. It wasn't really getting to some sides of the little notes, and I wasn't sure why. I think because I wasn't using enough of a technique to spread the ink. So now we'll go again. I'm probably using way too much ink. I'm sure someone who's smarter and wiser than me in embossing folders can comment. I just go with what I know. I also don't know how to hold it out here like this. I only know how to hold it really tight, and this feels very strange. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to do it. Hold it out like that on like a little palette. I tend to hold it pretty close. Let's see. That looks pretty even. So the reason why I added this ink is I needed to add the ink to give the extra texture. So now let's compare the two so you can see. Here's without. Here is without. Here is with. You see how it adds all that shadow to the music notes? It just adds more shadow and texture to this folder to give that little, just give a little more oomph. And I used the light fresh freesia first so that I could use this Highland Heather. And Highland Heather is a darker purple, which is perfect because you don't want it to be too dark because then it might wash out the color you were originally using. So I'm using the Highland Heather because it's a little bit darker than Fresh Freesia, but not as dark as like Blackberry Bliss. Like this will completely change the color of this purple. It will make it far more burgundy, obviously, because it's a very deep, deep, rich burgundy type purple. But again, what is your goal? My goal was not to make it dark. I need to keep it Ariel themed, you know, so these colors very much fit with Ariel. So there we go. So that's the messiest part of our card. It's not a difficult card other than the embossing, you know, because that does take a little bit of time. So then my next layer, this is Poppy, what is it? Petunia Pop. So this is Coastal Cabana at 4 1/4 and 11 inches, and I scored it at 5 1/2. And this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then this is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And we're just going to glue that down on top of the Petunia Pop. I'm going to glue that down on the Petunia Pop there. And then we're just going to glue this right down on the layer and then add our little queen, our little, you know, super large regal tiara. I just had to make sure it was right side up. Okay, let's get that all pressed down. All right, there we go. I normally want my tiara to be yellow, but because it's Ariel's, I was thinking, no, what if we try it with Coastal Cabana? I haven't done that. And so let's go ahead and try it and see, you know, and we can compare my original card with what we do with this one. And again, we just ink up and then we center it. Now this particular die, just want to make sure I get all parts of the tiara down. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. And I think the key to this stamp set is you really, really super embellish the tiara. And that's what really makes the cards pop the most. So we have our yellow one here, and I'm gonna use this as a template for our jewels, just so that I'm aware of what I'm grabbing, you know, and don't have to start over from scratch. What I often do when I'm making a tiara, whenever I'm putting down embellishments, I don't put them down really solidly immediately. I tend to wait a minute, take a beat, and then, okay, so I'm putting this large flat adhesive backed pearl. I'm putting that first. I put a lot of pearls. I felt like Ariel needed a lot of pearls, you know, just in general, because of the fact that it's Ariel, you know, so that was my personal opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and take some of these. These are called Sunny Days Iridescent dots, I think. And let's pop those on the larger rhinestone spots there. Yeah, iridescent dots. And then I'm going to take these smaller ones that were from, these are the tinsel gems from a couple years ago, the 3-pack tinsel gems. And I just needed the same color, but just so that we got some consistency across the top crown part. Let's put this purple one right here. And I think that looks good because I feel like you need a little bit of purple to break up. All right, so then we have pearls. So I took these larger pearls. These, honestly, we always have pearls. These ones, I don't know if these are the retired ones. They fell out of the package. And you just kind of play with the pearls. I think these, I think these were the old pearls that we used to have. And then I took the tiny pearls. Yeah, because it looks like I got these from Darlene. And I took the tiny pearls and I put them on the droplets. These droplets hanging right down here. And then I put different pearls on the other droplets. It'd be cool if I had droplet pearls, but I don't. But they seem to look really good when I put them in here. And one more right there. Let's go ahead and take a few of these. So these are the festive pearls. And there's this one pearl that's like a, I think it's Lagoon, Lost Lagoon. And I happen to have a few of those left. That looks like, is that it? Let me get it out of the package. Oh, this doesn't look the same color. Oh yeah, something's wrong with that color. I'm gonna put this on the end. It's supposed to be a little more green, but these ones are not so green. These ones look almost silver. They're not silver, but they almost look silver when you compare them to the other ones that I had. So something must have happened in production or something to make them just a little different color. These are iridescent rhinestones. These are iridescent rhinestones. And I really like putting the same gem all across the bottom here. Sorry, I'm trying not to go off screen. But I'm trying not to rush either. So there we go. And let's go ahead and grab some of these rhinestones. Now these were Wave Basic Jewels. And then these are like, oh gosh, these were called, I think, Festive Rhinestones. I think I'm going to use the Wave one. These ones came out with like some paper that we had that was all ocean colors. So let's go ahead and let's put a large jewel. Let's put a large jewel at the top here. And then let's put some smaller ones over here. And again, I wish I had some more purple. I feel like there needs to be something else. So So let's go ahead and see where we can put some more of these purple. Oh, you know what? Let's try it this way. Let's try these two here. What's that? Just trying to space out the coloring, you know. I don't want things to match exactly. Yeah, this is bothering me. I'm gonna put this one back. Okay, and you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this purple one and be as gentle as I can, and I'm gonna put it on the side here. And be as gentle as I can, same thing here. This is why I try not to press them down right away. Okay, this one came off of its glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel up the glue dot that it's on as gently as I can. There we go. And we'll put that down. I'm just putting the glue dot right there. It's not really my favorite to have these extra large purple over on the side, but I feel like we just needed a little more anchoring of some different colors. And let's go ahead and put the light ones that I was using. I think they're the same. Yeah. And then the two that I just pulled off, I'm going to put right here. Because they're a little bit larger and a different color. I wish I had more. I wish I had purple rhinestones. Oh, you know what? I had some other purple gems. Oh, well. Oh, well. We're done. So there's our gem, our crown. Yeah, it looks really pretty. And we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this and pop it on our card, and that's it. We're done. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to put this, center this. Okay. All right. I'm just going to press that down. Done. That is our card. Oh, we got to put the inside. This is some recycled paper. I printed some stuff on here. And, come on. I had printed some stuff on here and then didn't wind up using it. So but I didn't want to waste the other side of the paper, or the white side is just fine. And I'm gluing this down so no one will ever see that. I'm not going to throw away good cardstock just because one side is printed on. So there is our card. So cute, right? We could stamp something on the inside, like stamp a little something on the inside, like, we could stamp maybe, maybe like a little, sparkle. Let's do that real quick. Let's see if I have I have the Highland Heather here. So we'll just stamp a little sparkle on the inside. I always like to have a little something on the inside of my cards. I just think it makes them better. So just that little something on the inside there. And that's the end of our card. Let's do it on the original. Oh, and let's compare the two. And you can put in the comments whether you like the yellow crown or the teal crown, which you prefer. I changed up the jewels a little bit, but honestly, I actually think I prefer this teal crown. What do you think, you guys? Or do you prefer just the straight yellow? I'm thinking I prefer this. While I like the yellow looked fine when I first had it here. But there's something about the teal that I think just kind of adds that extra dimension. I didn't add a sentiment. You know, I normally like to add a sentiment. But I've noticed in my whatnot that some people don't really want sentiments on their cards in a way. So some of these princess ones I've made without sentiments because then people could use them all year round. Valentine's, Christmas, you know, whatever, birthday, you know, I love you, whatever, just you're my best friend, you know, anything. So I wanted to just have something a little bit different. So that's our card. That's it. So super good.